Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Light Sports Ramble. And it is our pleasure to come to you this evening. Evan and I have some very big announcements before we get into the Packer recap. Evan and I have actually been talking about how to extend the brand of the Light Sports Ramble. First thing we've done for those loyal listeners is we've established an email account, redlightsportsramble@gmail.com, for you guys to send feedback, topics, anything related that you want to see on the show or any topics. Feel free to hit us up now on redlightsportsramble@gmail.com. Secondly, we've also created a Facebook page. Evan, I had posted the link before, and we'll post it again on Twitter. We created that Facebook page today. But I think, Evan, the biggest news that we have is I had actually met a wonderful woman on Twitter. She is a Cowboys fan. Don't hold that against her, Evan. But her Twitter handle is @cowgirlcast22. She actually is the founder of a website called yourdailycowboysfootballfix.com. And what she has offered us, Evan, is a chance to actually run our show on her website. Even though it is a Cowboys site, like you and I talk Packers, she also has areas on her website for NFL news, NCAA football, NASCAR, MMA, soccer, and as she told us, and you can attest to this, she's looking to expand for coverage for other teams. This is a great opportunity for us, Evan. I'm excited to be on this website, and I can't do enough but to thank Cass for giving us this opportunity to actually publish our show on her website. So with that, I'll turn it over to you real quick to give your thoughts about these things that we've just encountered over the last weekend.
Well, it's very exciting. I'm excited as well. It's going to be a good opportunity to continue to promote Red Light Sports Ramble and hopefully, get somebody to take notice of it and see that we are two people that know what we're talking about, not just two people who are just babbling on and on about sports. And hopefully, the people that look at the site, check out our show, like what they see. And I'm just very excited for the opportunity, especially with the Facebook page and the email address gives us more avenues to interact with listeners. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Evan, I got to thank our listeners because without them, we'd still do the show. I mean, if it was just you and I listening, we'd still do this because we love to do it. But it's really fun to see the feedback on Twitter, and now we have a couple more avenues to actually interact with our loyal listeners. I do appreciate it. But let's get right into it, Evan. I know that I had predicted a double-digit loss. I said 28-17. Unfortunately, my omen of picking against the Packers didn't work out in our favor. We fell to the Giants yesterday. We kept it close. We were hanging in there. We had a turnover that led to a touchdown. But as always, I'm going to turn it over to you to recap the game from start to finish like we always do in the recap. So I'll turn it over to you, bud.
Well, has been kind of plaguing the Packers, especially it plagued them last week and plagued them again this week. We were talking about beforehand, a slow start. They didn't get off the hottest start out there. And by the time the Packers were able to start driving the football, the Giants already had the lead. Some positives that did come out of it is, yes, Tolzien had 3 interceptions, but he also made some huge throws along the line as well. Boykin continuing to do really well. He had 92 yards receiving in the game. Jordy Nelson broke the 100-yard receiving mark in the game. The defense, Tremont Williams, has gotten a lot of criticism this season and last season. He played an outstanding game, in my opinion. He had the interception, which is a heck of a play, and he was doing great in regards to open field tackling. And I didn't see his man get targeted too many times either. So Tremont Williams played really well. Those were the positives, but unfortunately there were a lot of negatives, and they all had to do with things that you and I talked about on Thursday's show. The offensive line needed to do a good job. They didn't. They got dominated in the run game. They couldn't open up lanes, and Eddie Lacy only had about 24 yards rushing, I believe. Tolzien did have time to throw, which was good, but he did take some shots. Newhouse did better in the passing game than I thought, but he didn't contributed nothing to the run game. And defensively, unfortunately with Sam Shields' injury being scratched right before kickoff, the Packers had to rely on Micah Hyde a lot covering in the slot, and Eli Manning just attacked him, and it wasn't pretty. Hyde got beat like a drum. Like I can't even put into words how bad he got beat. He just got beat like a drum. But a positive that came out of Hyde, though, is he continued to tackle well. I saw him on numerous occasions trying to strip that ball out, which is another plus, which I think is going to come up big down the road. We didn't force any fumbles yesterday, but down the road I can see some coming out of it. But unfortunately, the Packers didn't have enough. Posing threw an interception after the Packers cut it within 7. That was returned for a touchdown on a heck of a football play by Jason Pierre-Paul. He saw the play coming before it even happened, caught it in the huddle. I'm intercepting this. And on an out route to a tight end, Pierre-Paul got his hands in the air, intercepts it, and takes it in for a touchdown. So the Packers played better than they did against Philadelphia. They tackled better, but they couldn't make the plays when it mattered on both sides of the ball. And unfortunately, for the first time since 2008, we've lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, I'm going to go back. Dude, that was a heck of a play by Pierre-Paul. I mean, he just snatched that thing right out of the air. He read it perfect. You and I talked about it. It was a quick out to Corliss. I mean, that is it's the inexperience from Tolzien. And I'm not going to say what if, because I don't want to sit here and keep saying what if Rodgers was in the game. But if Rodgers is in the game, we probably see a pump fake there, Pierre-Paul up off his feet, Rodgers probably going a little bit intermediate or deep on that play. But again, I thought Tolzien played a okay game. He made some mistakes, but what do you expect? I mean, if we really look,
third stringer.
Yeah, look at it. He is our third string quarterback, a quarterback that probably in normal circumstances isn't going to be in any NFL games, and now he is thrust into a starting position, and he had a lot to absorb. I think the slow start really put us behind the 8 ball. When he started getting comfortable, he started making some good throws down the field. And I think it was one of your friends that I was introduced to on Twitter, Michelle from NFL. She had put out a tweet before about his ranking on those long throws, and it was like 118 quarterback rating. He did very well in the long throw. Unfortunately, you and I talked about this. Is McCarthy being too conservative with Tolzien? Because during the game, we got very predictable. Run, down and distance was not manageable for Tolzien. Now that giant defensive line, which is really playing a lot better out in their 4-game winning streak than their 0-6 start, just pinned their ears back, and Newhouse was having his hands full with Tuck. I know he did okay, but there's times where Tuck was just schooling him. And so what do you think about McCarthy, the play calling? Is he being too conservative with Tolzien right now, bud?
Well, if you recall on Thursday, I made the comment that the Packers, McCarthy needed to protect Tolzien, but he protected him way too much on Sunday or yesterday. Tolzien, it was predictable, like you said. Tolzien was stuck in no man's land in the down the distance situations. We run the ball on first down, get like a yard or two. Run the ball on second down, get stopped for no gain. Third down, we have to pass, and it's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7. And after, I was getting to the point talking to the people I was watching the game with, when we have 3rd and 8 or longer, we might as well just punt on 3rd down. Less bad things are likely to happen on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 if you're just punting the ball. Because that's how frustrated I was getting with the play calling. And when McCarthy did throw the ball on first down or second down, it was being completed. And I don't know what McCarthy was doing, but you run it on first, get stopped for 2 yards, okay, let's throw it. Now, yeah, if it's an incomplete pass, you're still in a 3rd and long situation, but the running game on second down is being stopped for nothing. After a few times, you think you would get the hint and you might want to change it. And I don't know if you've heard this before, but is it the definition of insanity doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results?
That's funny.
That's what McCarthy was doing the entire game. And then we get in the red zone by throwing the ball, and what do? We try to run it in. Stop for a 2-yard loss, stop for like a 1-yard gain. maybe a 2-yard gain. We stopped on second down for no gain. Then we have to throw it on third down in the red zone. We get stuck kicking a field goal. So I think against Minnesota, with how bad that defense is, I think he needs to take the gloves off Tolzien a little bit and let Tolzien take his chances. Because the interceptions he threw, the two that he had, the one to Beeson and one to Pierre-Paul, they weren't like he was going deep with the football. You know, he was throwing a slant pattern that Beeson made a heck of a play on, and the other one, Jason Pierre-Paul, made a good guess on a out route. He was throwing a good deep ball. Let him throw the football. He's got some very good weapons out there, especially in the tight end Bostic. Throw him the ball more. Get the ball to Boykin, Nelson, Jones. You let Tolzien throw the ball. You know, take the kid's gloves off a little bit.
Yeah, they did throw, but when you look at it too, a lot of that was the short intermediate stuff, and like I'd mentioned, his quarterback rating on the deep ball is pretty good, and I think what we're going to see when Tolzien has to play, they're going to put 8 in the box, and they're going to give us that short stuff. They're going to try to defend it because that's where they think Tolzien's going to go with it. When he went deep, I think we surprised him, and it worked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Now, you can't do it all the time. I think my frustration, Evan, was exactly what you're saying, and it's funny you said that. I say that to my staff all the time. You do the same thing over and over with the same results. That is insanity. You're absolutely right. So
I used a different word yesterday, but I was trying to keep it appropriate. I'm not going to repeat it. Just to say it started with dumb and ended in a 3-letter word.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Packer fans were using other words than that yesterday. And you know what? Now we're going to go on Cass's website, and the Cowboys, they were probably cheering for the Packers yesterday. Because the Giants are playing big, and that's a big rivalry. So we've probably got some of our new listeners that are Cowboy fans that were probably on our side yesterday. But where my frustration comes, Evan, is I know we've been running the ball well. And I know where McCarthy was going with this, but it was obvious that they were going to shut the run down. And so get away from it. Let Tolzien do something with it. And I thought the one thing that they didn't do yesterday, which I thought would have been real effective early in the game, before they shut the run down, was to do the play action and roll the pocket for Tolzien and try to catch something over the middle. Quarles is a good guy in the middle, and they could have got Nelson somewhere there also, but I didn't see one rolling of the pocket. I didn't see early quarter play action. They just handed it off, and we didn't even have a first down in the first quarter. That is the problem we had, and all of a sudden we're behind the 8 ball, and then all of a sudden we get back into the game and we open it up a little bit, and then like you said, we get into the last third of the field and we get too conservative. I'm going to give Crosby credit. Nailed that long field goal at the end of the half. It was great to see that. But it just seemed like that series, when we got over midfield, it's like McCarthy didn't want to make a mistake. And he got real conservative at that point. We got 2 ways to move forward, Evan. We know Rodgers isn't with us. Are we going to play scared? Or are we going to play to win? And that's how I felt yesterday. I thought we didn't play to win. I thought we played not to make mistakes. And if we keep
we play not to lose.
If we keep doing that, we're going to keep losing. And I'll tell you what, we've got a great opportunity. The NFC happened to play out in our favor yesterday. The Lions lost. The 49ers lost. Granted, the Bears won. But I'll tell you what, we're only 1 game out of first place. And we have a great opportunity. We're not that far out without our starting star quarterback. But if we continue to play not to lose, we're going to keep losing. I did the same thing when I was a coach. You're either going to play scared or you're going to play to win. And if you play scared, you're going to lose. And that's what I'm seeing. You might have a totally different take on it, but I think we're playing scared right now, and maybe not necessarily scared, but we're playing not to make mistakes. We're playing not to lose and hoping we're going to get a play. Well, I
think McCarthy is the big one that's coaching not to lose, and Capers is also coaching not to lose, because the game plan that they were running And I know Capers probably had to change his game plan when he realized he wasn't going to have Sam Shields yesterday. So it probably scrapped a lot of what he wanted to do. But if you're not getting a pass rush with just 4 guys, do stuff to generate a pass rush. Made Dom Capers good, really good back in his heyday, back in 2010 even, was he would generate, he would draw something up, right? Call something up to generate a pass rush, and the quarterback would be uncomfortable. But Bill Michaels, who he has a show on station that I intern at, he was saying that he was talking to an opposing player on a team that played the Packers recently, and the Packers and the Capers and the Packers are just playing teams straight up. They're not doing anything special. And when that happens, we can just beat our man and we're good. And then the offense yesterday was doing the same thing. They were playing not to lose, and they weren't playing to win. Basically, what you're just saying. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but it was just that point you were making was just starting to I had to speak up. So.
Well, and I think that's the frustration we're seeing from all the Packer fans. I was seeing on Twitter. I tend to stay off Twitter during the game because I don't want to say something stupid. I don't want to be the idiot with an opinion again. I do enough of that when you and I talk. But when we look at those things, we have to really take some chances. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I thought we had a good chance, to be able to do some good things, and it's just frustrating, that we're going to pull the reins back. And, I know he's a young guy and he's going to make mistakes. We just got to live with it, and we got to take our chances.
At this point, we just got to live with it.
But I am happy that the things fell into place for us. And to be honest, you and I both thought Carolina can go into New England tonight and give them a game. I hope New England wins to bring Carolina back to the pack, because if they lose, that puts them at 6-5 also, right? Or 6-4. And
that'd be a 6-4.
6-4 keeps us in that playoff race, only one game out. And if we can keep weathering the storm and just stay right there, and maybe the miracle happens and Rodgers can come back on Thanksgiving. But it starts with next week, and of course later in the week we'll get into the preview, which is our Thursday night episode. But we need to get the win on Sunday, get us back to 6-5. But with everything else that went on yesterday, we didn't really lose much ground. And so we're in a good position yet. But we got to make sure that we're going out and we're playing to win. I think that is my biggest point that I'm making today. We've got to play to win. And like you said, on both sides of the ball, the pass rush in the fourth quarter, they got some pressure on them when we needed the stop. And we got the stop. But we didn't generate any pressure up to that point. And so your point is taken exactly. Why didn't we do some of that stuff earlier in the game to get some of that pressure? Because when we had to make the stop, when it was 20-13, we got some pressure. We got the stop. And I was actually at that point, I had my fist pumping like, all right, Tolzien, now it's time to step up. And, of course, Pierre-Paul made the play.
Yeah.
But the defense...
He threw a touchdown pass just to the wrong guy.
Yeah, just to the wrong guy, unfortunately. But that made me kind of do one of those lean back, grab my hair, pull out the little bit of hair I have left, and say, oh, my God. But it goes back to say, we had talked about getting pressure on Manning, and we didn't do it in the first 3 quarters. Even though we tackled well, and that was a key to the game also, I think that helped us stay in the game because we did not give up many yards after the catch. So we need to maintain that from here on out. If we can do that, sustain a pass rush, or at least get some kind of pass rush going, then I think defensively we're going to be able to regain a little bit. But I agree with you. Capers has to do something creative with that defense. You and I talked about it earlier, I think last week, that we've got to get more creative and we've got to get the scheme to work with our personnel. And Capers can do that. He's been a defensive mind, so he needs to get more aggressive in my mind defensively. And I don't necessarily mean blitzing. Just with his schemes, mix it up, disguise it a little.
Predictable.
Yeah, disguise it a little bit, use different personnel. And I think it comes down to having faith in those young guys and letting them go out and play. Now, granted, Hyde got burned. Maybe I jinxed him because I said he was going to be my breakout player of the game. So I'll take some of the credit. Packer fans want to blame somebody. Blame me. I said Hyde was going to have a great game. He did tackle well, and he was a ball hawk. He couldn't cover worth a crap.
And that was his biggest issue coming out of Iowa, and that's why Hyde's future in the NFL is going to be at a safety. But when you lose Sam Shields right before kickoff, you need Micah Hyde to play corner. And unfortunately, he's not that good in coverage, and it's not his strength. So they had to use him there.
Yeah. So we just got to notch this one up. A loss. We're now 5-5. Like you said, our first 3-game losing streak in a long, long time. But I still have faith. I know you and I talked last week the hypothetical playoffs, but that was without Rodgers. We said if we never get Rodgers back, we're never going to make the playoffs. I still think we're sitting okay. We still we're only a game out. We're still have a chance at the division. If we take care of all the division games, we're going to win the division in my mind. If we take care of Minnesota, take care of Detroit, take care of Chicago, those 3 wins with the other things we have on the schedule, I think we can still win the division. And you and I talked about it. Really, the only way we're going to make the playoffs is by winning the division. The Lions' loss was huge. It helped keep them in the pack. I know Detroit has the tie, or Chicago has the tiebreaker over us, but we still play them again.
But if we would have won yesterday, we would be leading that 3-way tie because Detroit's beaten the Bears twice and we beat Detroit.
Exactly. But again, we're still there. We're not out of it. We still are in a good position. We've got to keep weathering this storm, and we'll see what happens as we move forward. But I feel confident. I really do. I saw a lot of good things yesterday. There were some negatives, but we just got to keep learning from them. And I think this coaching staff is good enough to do that. Hopefully,
we hope so.
Hopefully doesn't be so predictable offensively against the Vikings, because I think we have a great opportunity. The game's at Lambeau, going to be a great Sunday for football. Fans are going to be into it. I think we're going to have a great opportunity. We'll talk about that on Thursday. With that said, but I know you have to get off to class. You got about 20 minutes before class. We're pushing just over 20. But again, just to recap for our listeners, a lot of great stuff going on with the Red Light Sports Ramble. First one is, again, Evan, I appreciate co-hosting with you. I have a great time with you. So that is that is in rock. You and I are co-hosting this show until nobody wants to listen to us ever again, and then we'll probably still do it if it was just you and I. But again, to remind the listeners, our new email, you can email us topics, you can give us feedback, is redlightsportsramble, all one word, @gmail.com. Go ahead and use that. You don't have to be limited to 140 characters on Twitter. We also have a new Facebook page. I'm going to tweet it out after the show, Evan. I'm sure you'll retweet it to your followers.
Yes, I will.
But go on our Facebook page, friend us. We'll go in and we'll communicate as much as we can via Facebook. We're going to post our show on the Facebook page. But then finally, I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about, Evan, and I know you are too, I got to give our props out to Cowgirl Cass, who actually basically just listened to our show. She said she liked what she heard, giving us an opportunity to go on our website, which is yourdailycowboysfootballfix.com. An easy link to that is on her Twitter handle, which is @CowgirlCass22. If you want to look, I actually tweet to her, so she's on my timeline. But go follow her. She has her website right in her profile. Go check it out. It's not just Cowboy stuff. Like I said, she has a lot of stuff about the NFL and a lot of good things going on that website. And now our show, Evan, is going to be part of her website. So I'm extremely excited about this opportunity to be able to affiliate with her and her website.
Awesome stuff.
It is awesome. Any last words for the listeners, Evan?
Just thanks for listening, and thanks for Cassie or Cass for giving us this opportunity, and hopefully we are able to attract a lot of viewership, listeners from her site.
Yep, and so with that said, folks, Evan and I are going to wrap it up, and Evan and I will see you at the next red light. Be great. Watch some football tonight. We'll be at you tomorrow.